They actually have a plan for today's Nice Guys on Business podcast. You don't want to miss it.
To me, Seattle just holds opportunity. I'm honestly not super big in the tech space. I don't code, but I just have a huge draw to the geography. I love to snowboard in the mountains. They are beautiful. And it's just a great place with great people and awesome open minds. And that's really what I'm all about.
Russell's also a hippie at heart, and
I took a pill in Ibiza to show the nice guys I was cool. And when I finally got sober, I felt 10 years older. But fuck it. It was something to do. Now it's 3 a.m, and I'm trying to change your mind. Left you multiple missed calls, and to my message you reply, why do you only call me when you're listening to the Nice Guys on Business podcast? Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Funkin' fans, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back. I know I'm not supposed to say ladies and gentlemen, but you haven't told me not to say it in a long time.
It's been a really long time, and we're on episode 340,000 right now, aren't we?
478,000, something like that. Yes, close to 1 million downloads. We are so freaking close right now.
That's coming up, Strick. We're less than 30 days away from we're over 900,000 downloads. Less than 30 days away from that magic 1 million. What's going to happen at 1 million? Anything like
special.
we have planned absolutely nothing. We are so pathetic.
Well, we have planned one thing that's in the works that I don't know if we should say anything. I mean, not like anybody from Libsyn is listening, but we're going to be probably switching over to podcast websites after 1 million. But I don't think Rob from Libsyn is listening, going, "Oh my God, what are they going to do? What are they doing?
You mean they're going to take their $75 somewhere else?"
Right, exactly.
Well, we figured from an administrative perspective, we spend so much time hosting the podcast and doing and manipulating all the stuff that the show notes and everything, and then we have to have Anna actually go through and post everything to my website. So we are actually just going to create a brand new platform under. What's it called? Podcast websites. That's a very interesting name. I guess it's about as plain Jane as the name has to be, but it says it all. Podcast websites. So what do you think they do?
Kind of like Turnkey Podcast. Our little plug for ourselves. Yes.
Oh, very nice.
They do podcast websites. But what's cool is they do hosting too. But we'll probably talk about them more in the next couple of weeks because we really have not even done any onboarding or know that much about them yet, other than what we've talked about. But helping us get to our 1 million downloads is Unfolding Communications. You like that segue?
That was very good. Not only did they get us the fidget spinners, but we are gonna. It's funny when we were exchanging text messages today. You said you're already going to hit them up for your next product. Like, what is the next thing that you want to get from Unfolding? Do you think?
Well, first I got to check with Glenn and make sure that somebody actually called, because if you go to unfolding.biz, if you want to get any promotional products, you can get a 15% discount on your first order by using the promo code 2, the number 2, nice guys. And that would be in all caps, or you can just give Glenn a call as well at, 1-877 to unfold. He said, I don't have the damn number in front of me. But
if you remembered all that was I was pretty impressed. I'm like, he's like really doing a commercial here, and this sounds kind of legit.
Right up to the phone number. I had it all in my head. It is 1-877 to unfold if you just want to go talk to Glenn personally, but all kinds of cool promotional products. If you're tired of fidget spinners or tired of hearing us talk about fidget spinners, you can get all kinds of other cool stuff like swell bottles and polo shirts and like Post-it notes and bags. And
I don't know if I ever told you, speaking of promotional products, but I was in the mortgage business going back to the early 90s, and I worked for a company called First Town Mortgage, and the manager of the store, believe me, this is all going to come back to Unfolding, I promise. The manager of the store, he wanted some personalized goodies, but he wanted something that was like kind of memorable and kind of like said a message. So he got these condoms.
What?
I'm telling you, it was a foil packed condom. Obviously it was safety sealed, and it said First Town Mortgage, come with us.
Well, I got to tell you, it's funny. Glenn seems like a little bit of a conservative guy.
Oh,
right?
shit.
But I'm doing a search on his site.
Yeah.
condoms, 70
Really?
to 84 cents each. Condoms in
Strickland,
assorted colors,
we've-
43 to 54 cents
Hold
each.
on. We've got to, and we can personalize them.
Yeah, absolutely. Custom
Strick,
labels.
Strick, I think this is it.
Oh my God. You don't think we need to go back and talk to the guys we fucked about getting like personalized condoms for them? I mean, I don't think we need them really.
What? This is great. I love this. Okay, so we're going to have fidget spinners, swell bottles.
Oh, now here's a really cool one. Condom keychain. Right?
Okay,
like you have
what's
a
the condom keychain?
but it's got a condom built in. I mean, I guess it's a one-off, one shot, but that's funny. Condom and mints in sleeves. Like there's a little case that it's got condoms and mints
I see
together.
it. This
That's
is great.
funny.
This is great. Funkin' fans, you've got to go to unfolding.biz and just type in the little quick search area, condoms, and there's like 6 different styles of condoms that Strick, we got to do this.
Glenn has some really cool stuff. And by the way, Funkin' fans, if you guys don't call, we're not going to be able to get more free shit next month because this is all about advertising. So hopefully if you need any kind of promotional products, you're calling Glenn and mentioning that you heard it on the Nice Guys so we can, keep doing this because we really like him.
I already have the I already got the next slogan.
Yeah.
Come on, the Nice Guys.
Wow. I'm really glad that our interview today is Jeff and Russ, and I don't think they'll be offended. And if they are, we don't really care. It's all right. It doesn't really matter.
We totally care. We're not going to offend. Listen, we say this? Hold on a second. Part of what we're going to play tomorrow, so you understand, we are not going to apologize anymore. Remember we said that last week?
Unapologetic.
Unapologetic. The Nice Guys, come on, the Nice Guys. This is great for potential guests. Thanks for coming on the Nice Guys.
Thanks. Oh my God. Now you're going to send them to our guests. After somebody's episode airs, you're going to send them a package. Hey, thanks for coming on the Nice Guys. That is kind of twisted. Oh my gosh. Okay,
or we could,
at least we are being safe.
Maybe for the interviews that are over,
Nice Guys.
Maybe right, be safe with the Nice Guys. Maybe for
use this and don't catch anything from the Nice Guy.
or the ones that are over 30 minutes. Thanks for going long with the Nice Guys.
Oh my God.
All right, so call Glenn or go to unfolding.biz. Make sure you type in to the promo code.
Two nice guys, all caps, and tell them you want condoms.
Wow. We definitely gave Glenn his money's worth on this one.
My God,
I really think. I wonder, have we ever had? Actually, Strick, I don't think we've ever had a sponsor that's actually stayed with us.
Not so far. Hopefully, we can change that with Glenn. We'll see what
they either get pissed at us. Or, gosh, that's really horrible.
Well, I wonder if he's listening to the episodes. I don't know that he was a guy that really listened to podcasts much, but maybe even if nobody calls, he'll get a laugh out of our live reads and want to keep doing it just for that.
Oh gosh, that was great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Hey, one quick mention before we get to our interview with Jeff and Russ and give you a little synopsis of what we talk about. We know that you guys are listening on Overcast. We are now closer to 95% of our downloads are now on Overcast, which is kind of ridiculous, kind of crazy, but we love the fact that we're giving the big fuck you to iTunes, so that's fine. But if you are listening on Overcast, please take a moment. We have slipped completely off of the radar screen in the overall rankings for overall podcasts. We are still the number 1 in the business category, but it would really be nice to go back to being at least in the top 10 on the overall rankings. And because we haven't mentioned it, we're assuming that it's because you guys haven't been doing anything. So right next to
where are we on most recommended?
That's what I'm saying. The most recommended, I think we're number 10 or 11, or number 11 or 12.
Yeah,
number 1 in the business category, but we're off the screen, which means people can't see us when they're first logging onto the app. We want to be in that top 10. The best way to do that, hit the little recommend. It's the gold star. You can go back to as many episodes as you possibly can. You don't even have to stop listening to the episode you're listening to right now. So just scroll up and down the screen, hit the recommend button. That's the little gold star next to the play button. Okay.
And why do we want that? Because it's all about us.
Well,
and if you weren't sure that it was all about us, we can see that we're 8 minutes into our intro and we've barely mentioned Jeff or Russ, which is our interview today. So
All right, so interesting story how I met Jeff or Russ. So I was on a call with a friend of mine, Karen Snyder, and Karen is Jeff's mom, and she is a member and a professional speaker through the National Speakers Association (NSA).
Jeffrey's mom has got it going on.
She comes up to about my waist. I'm about 6'4", and she's about 4'11". I would say that she's about 5 feet tall, but I'm not sure she is. You can
not going to comment.
You're not nice, Strickland.
No,
you're talking about
it's an interview with Jeff. I'm not going to.
You're talking about somebody's mother.
I'm not going to talk about his mom like that. Yeah.
So I'm in the conversation with Karen, talking to her about doing some fundraising and some potential donations for NSA, and we were talking about podcasting, and she says to me, "You really should
not the National Security Agency, by the way.
Definitely
they need no
not
donations. That would be the National Speakers Association.
They did. NSA did a background check on me, and I didn't pass, so they told me to join the other NSA. So I became a there you go. I became a professional speaker instead of a spy.
It's a spy.
So talking about podcasting, and then she says, you got to meet my son. He's thinking about starting a podcast. I can't get him the fuck out of my house, actually. He moved in after college, and I need to find him an opportunity to make money. So, Doug, could you please tell him all about podcasting? So he and his friend Russ were in the house, and we were chatting about podcasting. I said, you can't think about it. You just need to do it. It just is something you have to do. I told him, I spent about an hour with him. I went through all of the equipment that you need to buy, the process that you need to go through. I gave him about $10,000 in free advice.
Damn. Okay.
I know. I really did. So, thinking that maybe this will be really nice, and Karen, his mom, might recommend me to other chapters, which she actually did. I was spending a little time talking to you about all the chapters that she's recommended us to go in and speak all over the country. Anyway, so then I said to Jeff, I said, why don't we really do a really nice kickoff for your podcast? Let's get you to come on the show, talk a little bit about what you're going to chat about on your podcast, and talk about the whole millennial experience. What's it like to get out of college? What expectations do you have as somebody that's just getting out of college? What is post-college life all about? Do you actually follow the career path that you set in college? Do you do that beyond college? So we just go through not only Jeff's story, but his co-host, his friend, Russ. We go through his story as well. And these guys they're really interesting. They have a perspective that I think that you and I, as guys that are in our beep, can I say in our
Sure, you can say it. I'm just going to beep it out. It's fine. You can say whatever you want. I'll just beep it out.
Okay. So anyway, as two guys that are well into our 20s,
we're deeper into our 20s than Jeff and Russ.
Jeff and Russ, right? So I think sometimes we've lost a little bit of perspective. And I think these guys really do share a unique perspective, but not unique to their generation. And they do get into it, and there's no holds barred. I mean, they actually share some pretty deep information about what folks that are in their 20s have to think about when they get out of college. So good interview, really, really nice guys. And I'm hoping that their post-college life podcast, which is the name of their podcast, just makes a huge hit and bounces well.
I was so ready to give you shit about the fact that you don't have a business leader. This isn't somebody you had to work hard to get.
I know.
They don't really have like huge, amazing business advice to pass out.
Yep.
But we're already 13 minutes into the intro, so I don't have time to do any of that.
Well, but you know what? It's not even worth it. You can give me that when it actually would be an interview that was deserving of that. And I would accept it. These guys are legit. They do give many of you guys in the nice guy community, you have kids. And kids probably that are either Strickland's kids' age, which are just about to go to college, or my kids' age, just getting out of college. And this is an age band that they have these concerns, and I think it's a pretty cool perspective, Strick. So you're going to eat those words, sucker.
Okay, why don't we get to the interview with Jeff and Russ? And hey, don't forget, never underestimate the power of nice. We never go into the promise statement anymore, do we? Since Sean said something, it's been like 6 months since you've even said or thought about the promise statement.
We have a whole host of people that have never even heard us say the words, oh, should we read the promise statement? You know that,
what?
Right?
Maybe we'll do that tomorrow, because we got to talk about Tutu Optional tomorrow as well, because we haven't been talking about it as much. So
all right,
tune in tomorrow, but right now let's get to the interview with Jeff and Russ.
So what is exactly your next step in life? And that is kind of the question that we all have, even as no matter how many times I say my age, Strickland is going to end up editing the fucking thing out. So I'll just say it anyway. So no matter how many times I say that I'm years old, there's always going to be a 20-something that's in our audience that wants to know what is the next step. So in order for me not to guess anymore, but to actually ask the people that are in that position, I have two guys that are on the line with me right now, Jeff Snyder and Russ Willems. And I ran into Jeff's mom. She is a professional speaker with the National Speakers Association. I ran into her at a local meeting, happened to be having a meeting with her at her office, and in walks her son with his friend. And we start talking about podcasting, and it just got me interested in the subject of what happens and what to guys that are in their mid-20s, aside from girls, what do they think about when it comes to where their next step is in life? So welcome, guys, to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you. We're happy to be here.
Thank you so much for having us, Doug.
Hey, man, it's totally our pleasure for having you here. And I have a son that is 21 and my daughter is 24. And I always think about, like, what is their thought process? And, just to give the Nice Guy community a little bit of a background about these two guys that are on with us right now. Russell, he is an MBA graduate in mechanical engineering from Clemson, and Jeff Snyder is a High Point University graduate from 2015. He's the guy that's most interested in the podcasting world, although I think that Russell does anything that Jeff does, so pretty good. And they're trying to document a little bit of their life through audio and answering questions, because these are the same questions that everybody that is in their early 20s, I think, has to go through. So guys, you both have degrees. You both are smart, because I can tell from the schools that you graduated from. And so, what is the next step in your lives at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jeff has been out of school a little longer than I have. He's already been through the ringer a bit, did some sales jobs, working in the sports space, which is what he is all about. I personally just graduated in August, so I'm still answering that question for myself. Not totally sure. So I'm kind of exploring this space as the podcast space as an opportunity to learn, really share, hear ideas from others. We're going to be doing a lot of interviews, not only of people in our age group, but also people that have been able to succeed and come out on the other end of it. Right now, I'm eager to get to the Seattle area. So right now I'm here in the Washington, D.C. area. It's where I grew up, where we grew up together, actually. And I'm eager to get to Seattle. So I'm planning on taking a nice 3-week road trip in the coming weeks. And hopefully I have something to do when I get out there, so I can put a roof over my head.
All right, so Russell, we'll get into the reason why you're actually moving out to Seattle, even if the answer is I don't know, because that's where the tech space is. That could be the answer. But Jeff, give me that 3-point turn on yourself. Tell me about where is your head? What situation are you in right now?
Well, I mean, I'm still thinking about girls, so don't get me wrong. And obviously, just because I graduated college doesn't make me necessarily a brainiac. But I'm definitely, I've done a good amount of sampling within corporate world. You could say it's a term I've referred to occasionally as kind of dating with the corporate world, kind of getting my feet wet. So that's kind of for 2 years, and I was kind of like, you know what, I've heard a lot of people that have done podcasts and seen it be successful for a lot of people. Me, as Russell alluded to, I'm super interested in sports, and also kind of bringing a growth mindset into kind of my early and mid 20s, and kind of talking, because I know it's a thing that a lot of people struggle and also are living through and have a lot of questions about, really just jumping fully into the real world. So I'm excited about this space. I'm excited about this time in my life. So hopefully we can help you dive in.
Jeff, what's your degree in?
I'm strategic communications and sport management.
So what? I don't. And again, there's these newfangled degrees that they have. What was the first one that you are? I could write.
Strategic communication.
What is that exactly?
So, gosh, that encompasses a lot of stuff, but it's basically like it could help you get into many, sales and business jobs. I did some public speaking in college. I ran my own radio show. There was like a TV practicum that you could take where you kind of get put on air. So learned a lot, a little bit on graphic design. Honestly, it's kind of just a way to put wrap a nice bow on a lot of different things that go on that you're having human interactions within the business
So
world.
in other words, Jeff, you graduated with undecided.
Hey, don't forget the sports part. Don't forget
the sports part too. That's right. I remember I took it right all the way as far as I could in my junior year before I had to declare a major, and then I went into journalism, and it took me literally 30 years after I graduated from college. It took me 30 years to discover that I wanted to write a book, and then the professional speaking thing came on as well. So Russell, so mechanical engineering, you have your not only a degree, but then you have your post degree as well, an MBA.
Yes.
So what is the pull for Seattle? What does that do for you?
Jeff mentioned something in his intro about what we're excited to share, and one thing he mentioned was growth mindset, and that's really what I'm all about and what we're really trying to convey in our podcast. And for me, I really can't necessarily say why, but to me, Seattle just holds opportunity. I'm honestly not super big in the tech space. I don't code, but I just have a huge draw to the geography. I love to snowboard in the mountains. They are beautiful. And it's just a great place with great people and awesome open minds. And that's really what I'm all about.
Russell's also a hippie at heart, and
Yeah.
I appreciate that and respect that.
Yeah.
Hey, make sure you take that weed out of the room before you let your mom see it. You know? Hey, so what do you think? What do you think is the question that so many that are in their early 20s, guys and girls that are just getting out of school? Is it like what comes next? I mean, what is the biggest question that people are asking when they get out of college?
Gosh, I mean, that is such a deep question that to especially ask someone our age. I think most people will look at you with deer in the headlights if you start asking those kind of questions.
Well, okay, so let me rephrase it. Do people expect to be able to pick a career within their degree when they first get out of school?
I think more specialized tracks, doctors, people who are on like a program, like our friend Seth, who is out and working in as a post-grad like psychology program. But I also think that there's so much out there once you hit the real world, and also as you know, a lot of times college, it's a lot different than once you're actually jumping 2 feet in. So I think that it's kind of like nobody really knows.
Yeah, I guess is that really the answer? Because I look at it and I just say, my son, who's just about to graduate in next May with a degree in graphic design, and my daughter, who is now at Peabody getting a master's degree in music. I have a feeling that while they definitely have a certain track that they're on, it's almost like, I don't know. Can you go in a different direction? Are you comfortable? Would you be comfortable taking something that's outside of your degree? Now, Jeff, maybe you a little bit more so than Russell, because Russell has a specific thing in engineering and MBA that maybe there's some stuff that he wants to focus on. It might be easier for you to say, I don't know, I could really go in any direction. But Russell, how would you feel about going in another direction other than the things that you studied?
Eager to do so.
And your parents are so happy about that. They're like, damn, he went to engineering school. I want him to be an engineer.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. So I have some friends that graduated and went right into the engineering job. I had the opportunity to co-op during my undergrad, so I worked in an engineering firm, and I pretty quickly realized that's not what I wanted to do. So the MBA had a focus on entrepreneurship and innovation.
Nice.
I'm much more eager to try and build others and my own ideas, try and help create new things. I love thinking creatively. I'm very similar to you, I would say, and I'm very high touch, all about the human experience, how we interact with one another, what it means to be compassionate and to really listen to somebody else's ideas. And I really want to try and bring that to the corporate world because I feel like it's missing. So I have a little bit of an idea of where I want to go. It's not really correlated at all to my engineering and MBA, other than that I want to do my own thing like an entrepreneur. But I really want to help people re-identify where they find value in life.
Hey, Jeff, let me ask you this question, because I think that in having a number of millennial experts that have come on the show, one of the things that we talk about a lot is that millennials want to make an impact. I mean, that's their thing. They don't necessarily care about, they do care about money, but they don't care, they care more about the impact and the title, the influence that they have within an organization, and the fact that they're actually being heard. Do you feel that way about where you want to take this, or are you okay with being one of many in an organization?
I struggle a little bit with being kind of like a smaller fish in a big pond. I went to a smaller school. I think probably for a lot of those reasons. I think for me, like being able to stand out and have convey my own message, it's a lot easier for me. And I find trouble a lot of the time when my voice isn't being heard. I know it sounds a little self-centered, but I feel like having your pulse on like what is being kind of, what parts are going towards the whole is can be very helpful for me and the type of brain that I have. So having something of my own, or even being a part of something where it's a small community making incremental change, that's where I thrive.
Do you think that a lot of companies are teaching entrepreneurship, or a lot of schools are teaching entrepreneurship as opposed to being a part of a bigger organization? Like, the days of companies like IBM and Xerox and the huge mega companies that are out there. I mean, maybe there are those companies, but even a company like Google and Zappos and a lot of the bigger organizations that are out there now, they still have a lot of that entrepreneurial mindset. Like, we empower our people. And how important do you think that is as a part of even a bigger organization?
Absolutely important. I think anytime that you can get the true person out of your employee that you're hiring, anytime, because basically what you're saying is we want to take our employees' skill sets and give them all the opportunities to succeed, rather than put them in a box of what a certain job is going to entail. So I think what you just said there hit the nail on the head in terms of the more entrepreneurial your company can be, probably the better you'll have your employees, and the more they'll feel like they have an impact on what's going on moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I got to tack on to that. The ability to give someone agency over what they do on a daily basis is essential, I would say. So just hearing and taking commands from above and then seeing your work just disappear into the abyss, there's a lot of dissatisfaction in that. So that's something that I think a lot of millennials identify with, is a desire to see a little bit of agency over what they do and where their work goes.
How do you feel, Russell, about the the work ethic of the millennial? I always feel like there's such a fine line nowadays between and a hazy line between work and personal. It's almost like you hang out with your hobby is your work is your hobby, and you can work 24/7 because they're trying to. I think organizations nowadays, they're putting we talk about this all the time on the show. They put ping pong tables and beer taps, and they let you bring your pets into because they want there to be such a fuzzy line. Is that the way did they teach you that as an MBA?
I wouldn't say so. So I had a couple courses on service innovation, and it's interesting to consider the role of an employee as providing a service to the employer. So the employer wants to do everything that they can to try service experience for the employee as positive as possible, which is why you're seeing all these creative bring your dog to workplace environments. So it's not something that they directly taught, but it is definitely something that you notice, because I mean, you get at it with the whole nice guy perspective, is that if you have a positive energy workplace, inherently more productive outcomes are made.
I love that. And Jeff, what are your thoughts about that? Although you come at it from a different angle, it seems like you've already had a chance to step into corporate America. What's your thought? Are the companies are they learning the lesson, and do they kind of know that this is really what is needed in order to attract somebody such as yourself and to stay with them? Obviously, they didn't attract you enough for you to stay with them. You stayed with them for a short period of time. It sounds like, if you only graduated in 15. Mm-hmm. So, what did they do wrong to not keep you?
It's so interesting. I think within the sales world, it's its own it's its own answer. Like, they
produce or leave.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really good way of putting it. There's a really good book on this, actually, Worth Doing Wrong by Arnie Malholm. I don't know if you've read it.
No.
It's really this guy. I think he has a advertising firm in Nashville, Tennessee, and he basically he encourages his employees to start their own essentially programs within the company. So they have like their book club, they have all sorts of different things, and basically there's incentives if you like actually read the book that's in their book club. They have really all sorts of things within their company. So I think millennials would be much more attracted to things like that. And I think if you can have like a very holistic workplace where people are working very strongly together within each department, then that's where you'll find much more harmonized workspace, which is, as I know you probably talked with my mom about that, probably pretty in depth.
Yep. Hey, let's move on to the next step. So your next step is when we continue the conversation at your house, we were talking about you getting involved in a podcast, and then you talked about sports, and then you talked about just generally subject matter that you think that those that are in their 20s would be interested in. What direction are you going in? What have you decided on?
Yeah, so what I've decided is, obviously Russell and I have dove in pretty deep on the post-college life podcast. We've recorded now our first couple episodes. We even had a little taste test in there, so we're excited to give our listeners a lot of things and kind of give them a way to interact with us and have like a community there. And then also for me personally, I plan on starting another separate sports podcast where I can bring on different guests within so that we can talk about fantasy sports, we can talk about the business side of sports, and talk about really everything that's going on because it's its own world.
So I like both of them are very niche focused. One of them is for the early 20-somethings post college life, and then the other is totally one that people can geek out on, which is sports, something I know absolutely nothing about.
Same boat.
So a little extra ambitious for you, Jeff. You're going to not only do one podcast, but you're actually starting a second one as well, all at the same time. May as well go big or go home. Is that right?
Absolutely. That's the only way to do it with Jeff. Knowing this kid for so long, he only does big or goes home.
I mean, look, it's if I can learn the ways to get started up in this thing, I think that both can get started and get a lot of different practices and get scheduled on it, and I don't see why both couldn't get off the ground at the same time.
I totally agree with you. I had never even really listened to, I can't recall if I listened to any podcast before I actually started my very own. So very challenging for me to remember going back about 2.5 or so years when we started this. Yeah. So talk about your post-college life podcast. Who would be a great audience member for that? And let's see if we can get you some initial audience members immediately.
I'll let Russell take this one here. He's passionate.
Absolutely. So I really believe that it's not as niche as it may sound. While there's a lot of people going through what we're trying to talk about every single year, we're talking to, like, our first interview was with Jeff's mom and hearing about what she was going through when she graduated college and some of the different things along the way. And really, we're trying to capture some life lessons, worldview perspectives. I'm passionate about sharing some of my belief structure, but not pressing anything. It's all just kind of putting opinions and different ideas out there and letting you take from it what you will. So we're really just trying to help people discover the value of positivity and reframing your mindset. That sounds so cliche to just say the power of positivity, but there's a lot of philosophy and psychology that kind of stands behind it that takes several hours to fully elaborate on. So we're trying to break it up into bits and pieces and drop little tidbits into it here and there as well as we can. So that's a big piece of it. But again, we're also really just trying to ask that question. And I always think there's value in learning from the experience of others. And that's something we're really trying to capture in the interview side of things, is talk to people we know, talk to people that are recent grads from as many diverse demographics as we can, and just have the opportunity to learn from the experience of others. I think there's just so much opportunity in that.
So I have to ask the age-old question that every parent would ask their kid when they get a job or do something that has some level of responsibility. So the question is, you can make money at that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I'm working at.
You tell us, man.
This is coming back to me now. I understand. Yeah. So the reality of it is absolutely you can make money at a podcast, but I guess what I'm throwing at you is where do you see yourself how do you see yourself turning that into a profit center?
This is actually something Russell and I just talked about before going on here. There's obviously the different types of revenue streams that podcasts make, whether it's advertising, whether it's having basically having like a training go along with it where you help almost like as a consultant. But we were actually just talking about a different thing and it stays along the mindset of post-college life. We could kind of work with different businesses that cater towards people within this demographic of post-college, whether it, be like, 21 to 28. So people who are making decisions like that. So basically that would be like the IKEAs of the world, who are moving into different apartments.
Hey, if you can figure out how to reach IKEA, could you let them know that I've been trying to reach them? I have some extra parts that they probably want back now.
I don't know if the customer service is going to work for both us and for you there.
Yeah, maybe not. It's interesting. That is a great avenue to try to market your products and services to potential advertisers. Whether you can land a client, a sponsor or not through that way, more power to you if you can. We haven't had a lot of success doing that, but that doesn't mean that it's not possible. And it's certainly, if you have a big audience, anything is possible. People want to have your ears as a part of their that they can promote their products to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is something we kind of learned from you in that basement conversation. There's the three opportunities: advertising, ancillary products, and then kind of some support service. And I think that could be a cool opportunity for us. There's a lot of kind of college counselors where people that are coming out of high school, they go to these people and they help them figure out what colleges they want to apply to and going through that process. And we can, maybe we have the opportunity to do the same kind of thing on the other end of it. So we can help people with that networking training, helping people get that first job, and also leverage and also leverage success in their first job. So it's not only about getting you and then letting you go, but also giving you the tools, mindset, and strategies for succeeding in whatever career path you choose to explore.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a great tool for you to be able to use. The podcast is a great way to be able to monetize whatever it is that you're, looking to make money from or do. What's interesting about it is, as you were talking, I was thinking about the guest that's going to be sitting next to you. I call it the hot seat, but the guest that's in the interview chair, you guys might be able to talk yourselves into a job if you have the right opportunity with the right person sitting next to you. So don't discount the fact that whoever is going to be there, you're interviewing, they're going to be the expert in their space, even if it's somebody that is a contemporary of yours. They always have connections. It's a great network builder, so just continue to use it as that, because don't ignore that person as a potential for where your next step is coming from. That's where many of our next steps have come from, are those guys that are sitting and girls that are sitting in the hot seat. Yeah,
I think that any time that you can get kind of it comes back to that community of people. If you're connecting with the right people and they're truly opening doors and we're opening doors for them, opportunity is opportunity. You take a look when it's going to knock, no matter what it is or what its label is.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jeff, Russell, what do you think it is that someone that is in their 40s or 50s, your parents' age and beyond, what is it that you think you want to be able to have them know about you that they don't know about you as they are looking? Because sometimes the just graduating college senior or postgraduate graduate is looked upon a little bit differently than somebody that's been out there in the workforce for 20, 30, 40 years. It's almost like they're looking at you and saying, well, what the fuck do they know? So what is it that you want to share with them, that person, somebody that's my age, so that you get through to them? Because you have a good opportunity. There's a lot of them in our crowd. What do you want them to know about you as a group? So
something I'm actually very passionate about. I think there's, it's so easy to overparent and almost to say like, hey, I want to, my kids should do this when they grow up. It's like, it's a very stable career. They'll have this life, it's having that life kind of set out for them. So I'm talking to the 40 and 50-year-olds in the audience right now. And it's truly coming down to let your kid be your kid. It's like, let them find their purpose, find their why, and do what they want to do. And as long as they're actually still putting themselves out there and being their authentic selves, and trying a lot of different new things, because that's what really being in this stage is all about, then, it might take a little bit of time, but once it clicks, it's going to click. And that's what I would say. Now, if your kid is sitting and eating Cheetos on the couch all day, then that's a different story. Well, that would be what I'd say.
So in other words, what you're saying is if somebody graduated with a graphic design degree or a whatever degree, don't pressure your kid into necessarily staying within that arena. They've graduated. They did good by graduating. They did very good by graduating.
Good job. Pat on the back.
Right. Now what do you want to do with your life? Take your time, but do it. Hurry.
Yeah.
And how about for you, Russell? What do you think? What's out there for us adults to have to know from those that are just graduating now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so to take the lens of a young person entering the workforce, I actually had an experience when I was kind of in that co-oping role where I was in a meeting and I was a little bit vocal about my opinion on the subject, and I was spoken to afterward. They said, well, we appreciate it, but you don't really know anything. Sit in the corner if you want to, but don't be as vocal.
What?
Yeah, so
how does that make you feel? That's got to just make you feel like 2 inches tall when somebody does shit like that.
And it discourages me from wanting to do my best, and that I don't want that. I don't want to do anything other than give my best to every day of my life, because it's a beautiful gift that we have here. And I think that's an important thing for people to recognize that a lot of this generation has as we're exiting college. We're scared, we're terrified, we don't really know what we're doing, but we're just trying to do the best we can and find some value in life. One thing I'm excited about with our podcast is I think there's a lot of the time people are just kind of living for the weekend, getting the job so that they can blow off some steam, go out, get a little drunk, have a good time. But one thing I find a lot of value in, and I want more people to find value in, is where they find value, is becoming more aware of where they really derive joy in life and trying to amplify that in order to give them their best self to every day. And the way I thought you were going with this question when you were first reading it off is, what do you think that older audience might have to gain should they choose to listen to post-college life? And I think it's just that. I think it's the ability to kind of pay attention to your own mindset, the willingness to be a little bit more mindful about your experience, about your daily routine, and where you find value, and also communication, being willing to understand and hear somebody else's perspective, because a lot of what I found is people tend to be stuck in their ways when they've been doing it for 5 or 6 years consistently, and to try and keep an open mind to new ideas and try and support those that are they might not know what they're doing, but they want to give their all, and I think that's an important thing to know.
That is great. That is a great finishing note. So if our listening audience, if our Nice Guy community wanted to get in touch with you to hear more about your podcast, when do you think that these podcasts are going to be airing? Do you know?
That's a great question. We were hoping to talk to you a little bit about that afterward, try and get some guidance on the process we're walking through. I mean, we have recordings done. We have the first couple episodes ready to get out there. We're just trying to learn the levers and mechanisms to get it out there. We have a Facebook page, Post College Life Podcast. Feel free to hit that up. We have an email, postcollegepod@gmail.com.
Postcollegelifepod@gmail. Yeah. So we want to get this out there, cut up and edited, and I think our listeners are going to have a lot of fun with what we had to say. So. I think that's once we get it out there, we want to see how the community builds too.
Yeah, that sounds very cool. All right, so we'll make sure that if, as of the airing of this episode, if the podcast is live by then, we'll make sure we put links in the show notes. If you go to the show notes and you don't see the live links, stay tuned. We will make sure that we get the information out to you. Guys, Jeff Snyder, Russ Willems, thanks for being on the show today, and looking forward to hearing a lot more good stuff from you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us on, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
Nice Guy. Yeah, my pleasure. Nice Guy community. Never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Jeff and Russ for being on the show today. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Fill up your week with the Nice Guys. Side effects may include tingling, numbness, urinary incontinence, the need to watch the Kardashians. If you have an erection for more than 3 hours, call your friends to brag. The Nice Guys on Business is not for everyone. Consult your physician before usage.